As the Russia-Ukraine war enters its next phase, both sides brace for a potentially disastrous phase ahead. In recent months, Russian mercenaries from Wagner's group have been trying to encircle the Ukrainian stronghold of Bakhmut and push deeper into the Donetsk region. Along with fulfilling its goal of capturing the entire Donbas, Russia aims to weaken Ukrainian troops and prevent them from starting offensives elsewhere. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on 26 February that Russia had lost 148,130 soldiers in Ukraine since the start of its full-scale invasion, with 660 missing by 25 February. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Armed Forces spotted and destroyed the Russian line of equipment and manpower in time by the 53rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after Prince Volodymyr Monomakh. The video of the destruction of the Russian fascist invaders was released by the Telegram channel Operative ZSU. On the other hand, Russian troops shelled Avdiivka in the Donetsk region and destroyed the school. This was announced by the head of the Regional Military Administration, Pavlo Kyrylenko. Russia has recently intensified its push to seize all of eastern Ukraine's industrial heartland in Donbas. Ukraine and its Western allies also say Russia is trying to launch broader and more ambitious offensives elsewhere along the front of more than 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles. Meanwhile, Yevgeny Prigozhin, founder of the Russian mercenary group Wagner, said on Saturday that Wagner fighters captured the village of Yahidin, north of the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, according to a Reuters report. After 6 months of heavy fighting, Ukrainian forces are reported to have blown up a bridge near Bakhmut this month in a sign of a possible retreat, a move that would give Russia a significant boost. Ukraine has denied intending to leave Bakhmut. Three civilians were injured by Russian artillery shelling in Ukraine's southern Kherson region, a senior Ukrainian official said. In a separate telegram, the Kherson Regional Military Administration said 2 emergency and rescue workers were injured by Russian shelling. Russian troops on the east bank of the Dnieper opened fire on the Kherson region 83 times on Friday, hitting 34 settlements, according to the head of the Regional Military Administration. In the spring, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are planning to launch a counteroffensive, one of the strategic goals of which is to push the offensive into the Russian front in the south. This was reported by Deputy Head of the Main Intelligence Directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Vadim Skibitsky, quoted by DW. Scouts noted that Ukraine would be ready for a counteroffensive in the spring. At the same time, he stressed that the timing of a specific strike depended on a number of factors, including the supply of Western weapons. Skibitsky does not rule out that Ukraine will attack arsenals on the territory of the Russian Federation, in particular in the Belgorod region. The goal of the announced counteroffensive was to liberate all of the occupied territories of Ukraine, including Crimea. We will stop only when we restore the country within the framework of 1991, he stressed. Meanwhile, Russian troops attacked the Black Sea coastal towns of Ochakiv and Kutsurub in Mykolaiv Oblast 5 times over the past 24 hours. Mykolaiv Oblast Governor Vitaly Kim said. No casualties were reported. Kim also said that the Mykolaiv, Pervomest, Voznesenski, and Bashtansky districts had been relatively quiet over the last few days. Over the past week, Russian forces have repeatedly attacked Ochakiv and Kutsurub. On 21 February, Russia shelled Ochakiv in Mykolaiv Oblast, wounding 1 person. Russia has inflicted enormous damage on Ukraine's southern Mykolaiv Oblast since the start of its invasion last February. The Ukrainian military reported repelling 71 Russian attacks over the past 24 hours in northeastern and eastern Ukraine. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces wrote in its morning update. Ukraine repelled attacks near Kupiansk in eastern Kharkiv Oblast, which is located not far from Luhansk Oblast and Lyman, Bakhmut, Advika, and Shakhtarsk in Donetsk Oblast, where, according to the General Staff, Russia concentrated its main offensive efforts. The General Staff also reported that Russia launched 14 missile attacks, 19 air attacks, and 57 attacks from salvo rocket systems over the past few days, which resulted in casualties among the civilian population. Russia has launched its latest offensive in eastern Ukraine, especially in Donetsk Oblast, in an attempt to claim the entire oblast, which was partially occupied by Russia in 2014 and further in 2022. Russian-backed proxy militias and private mercenary groups, such as the notorious Wagner group the Kremlin-backed, has been supporting regular Russian forces in the area and has suffered heavy losses. The General Staff said the threat of Russian missile launches remains high across Ukraine. Ukrainian military analyst Dariusz Daunub says Russia has been deploying more troops and weapons to the Donbas and attacking other areas in an apparent attempt to distract Ukrainian troops. Russia currently has the initiative and the advantage on the battlefield, he said, noting Kyiv's acute shortage of ammunition. Russia has relied on its enormous arsenal and increasing production of weapons and ammunition, giving it a significant advantage. Igor Strelkov, a former Russian security officer who commanded separatist forces in the Donbas when fighting broke out there in 2014, warned that any major offensive could be disastrous for Russia because its preparations were impossible to conceal and attackers would face a crushing response. He said an offensive would also pose logistical challenges like the one that thwarted Russia's attempts to seize Kyiv at the start of the war. Russian troops are improving the defense of temporarily occupied Crimea, building fortifications. In particular, 150 conscript soldiers from the Chelyabinsk region were recruited to carry out engineering work. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine published this information on Facebook, Ukrinform reported. The invaders were constantly conducting aerial reconnaissance to adjust their fire. They carried out 14 missile and 19 air attacks, as well as carry out 57 attacks from salvo rocket systems. Peaceful people suffer. The threat of further missile attacks was significant across the territory of Ukraine, the General Staff warned. No signs of the formation of an occupier offensive group were detected in the Volyn, Polisk, Siversk, and Slobozhansk directions,